Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a small test. It's going to take all day, but it's something I really want to know. I've really touted the 12 volt cooler. I think that they're amazing and I love them. I don't like having to work with ice when it comes to traditional coolers, but which one's actually better? And another thing I want to know is if I can plug in a small power station into this and put like a 100-watt solar panel on there, will this run, indefinitely all day? So I just want to find those things out. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, the coolers I'm going to be working with is the SetPower R25 12 volt cooler, and also this old Coleman Xtreme Cooler. Now this cooler, it's old, but it still is in great condition. I also bought a 20-pound bag of ice. And for our power station for our set point, it's going to be the Bluetti AC50B. So it has, it's 700 watts of AC power, but I'm going to be using the 12 volt plug, and it has 448 watt hours in it. And the panel I will be using is, the Zoupw 100 watt foldable panel. For our conditions, the Canada fires are affecting us. So it is a very hazy day out today. So sun conditions are not the best. And I will also be putting 6 cans of root beer in each cooler just to have something in there. It's probably not going to make much of a difference, but that is what's going to be in there. And also my plan is I'm going to come out here every hour and I'm going to open up both of these for 1 minute to kind of simulate, just active usage of a cooler. So let's go ahead and get the root beers in, fill this with ice, plug all this stuff in. And also, one last thing, this set point has not been pre-cooled at all. You can just see all the stuff's in there. So it's gonna use a lot of power just cooling itself off down to the 32 degrees of which I'm gonna have it set. So let's go ahead and load these all up. For this Coleman Xtreme Cooler, it is recommended that you put 20 pounds of ice in when you want to cool stuff. So look at that. That 20 pounds of ice plus 6 cans is already filling this thing almost 3/4 of the way full. If you put, triple the amount of cans in or just one layer of cans, you would be filling this all the way to the top. So even though this has more room, you got to load it up with ice in order to make it as efficient as possible. So let's go ahead and close it. And now let's load up the set point and power it on. And this set point does come with like a divider that you can put in. It's actually a liquid divider, so you can freeze it so it stays cooler for longer, but I'm not going to be using that. I'll just kind of randomly put these everywhere and shut the lid. And like I said, this has not been pre-cooled at all, so it's going to take a lot of power just to cool this down to the recommended 32 degrees, which I want it. All right, power station, let's plug it in. The power station is set to 100%, but it's actually been sitting for a couple of weeks, so hopefully it's still at 100%. Go ahead and turn the DC on. And let's go ahead and pull up the Bluetooth app, if I can get it to work, to see what the power draw is right off the bat. All right, there's the app right there. You can see that it shows 100%, and there is power going to the DC just because it's on. So let's go ahead and plug it in. There we go. Turn the cooler on. Boy, the cooler shows 72 degrees, and I'm setting it for 32 degrees. All right, it just kicked on. Let me go ahead and pull up the app for the set point. All right, you can see on the set point, it is set for 32 degrees. It's currently at 70 degrees. And right now my watch says that the temperature outside is 75 degrees. And it is on max. So let's just keep it on max. I think this 100-watt panel is going to be able to pull it off pretty well. So we'll just keep it like that. Let's go ahead and switch back to our battery. And you can see the DC is only pulling 32 watts. So this 100-watt panel from Zoupw right here, it should be able to pull it off just fine. So let's go ahead and get that set up. And what I'm going to do is cover it so it will kind of cover the AC50B, from direct sunlight. All right, and this Zoupw does have a MC4 to XT60 cord, so that's what we're going to be using. All right, the panel is pointing south. Okay, let's go ahead and plug in the solar panel now and see if we start getting some PV input. All right, I've been watching this app for about, a couple minutes, and it doesn't show any PV input going in. I mean, it shows the line, but it doesn't show any wattage. And it just shows 37, 38 watts coming out. Now, if you just calculate that 37, 38 watts, and we have a 477 watt hour battery, I'm sorry, a 448 watt hour battery, you're looking at 11 hours of runtime if this is running constantly. And I gotta say, the top of this is hot compared to the white cooler here, which is not hot. So that's kind of a bad design on SetPoint's part. You should buy a white cooler, definitely. But I'm gonna go ahead. It's you can see on the screen, it's 10:35, so I'm gonna come back out at 11:35 and open these up for a minute to like I said, kind of replicate just average usage. All right, it is now 11:30, so we're gonna go ahead and open these up for 1 minute, and we're gonna do this every hour for probably, I don't know, let's just say until 8 o'clock. And while these are open, let's go ahead and look at the Bluetti app to see if anything has changed on it. And you can see on the Bluetti app that our battery is still at 99%. The solar panel is bringing in 85 watts, and the DC, which is powering this cooler, is pulling 52. So this panel is easily keeping up. All right, and it's been 1 minute, so let's go ahead and close these. And I'll be back in another hour to do this again. All right, well, it's been, it's 3:30 in the afternoon now, and I think it's been around 6 hours since I started doing this. And everything's still, this one, the ice is still half full. And the SetPower cooler actually has ice on the sides a little bit, so both of them are staying very cold. As you can see on the app for the Bluetti AC50B, we're bringing in 63 watts and we're pulling out still 51 watts for this cooler. Again, this cooler is on max, it's not on eco. And our battery for that power station is still at 99%. So throughout this whole day, it has not dropped below 99% this entire time. So I don't think there is any issue whatsoever with a 100 watt panel connected to this Bluetti being able to power this SetPower all day if you have even partial sun. All right, it's now 6:30 at night, or in the evening, and at 7:30, I'm gonna go ahead and end this since there's not gonna be any more sun. I just checked the Bluetti back there, and it's still at 97%, and I would say that there hasn't been any sun on that panel for probably 20 to 30 minutes. So I'll go ahead and wait 1 more hour, and at 7:30, like I said, I'll go ahead and stop. I'll see what the percentage is on that Bluetti to kind of maybe be able to calculate how many watt hours it used. I'm guessing it's probably going to be between 35 and 40. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and empty out all the water in this cooler and weigh it. And then that way we can find out how much ice actually turned to water in this cooler. Now, I don't know anything about thermodynamics or anything like that, but if I feel like if I weigh the water, and let's just say it weighs, I weigh out like 4 pounds of water, Well, that means that it would take, well, pretty much 5 times more than the time I had now to completely run out of ice. I don't know if that's correct, and I have a feeling it's not. It's probably like some sort of curve, because the less ice, the warmer it'll get. But at least it's something. So we'll get back at 7:30 and we'll find out all the results. All right, well, it is now 7:30, and this is the last time I'm gonna leave these open for 1 minute. And what I also wanna do is look at the Bluetti app to see what our state of charge is for our AC50B. Is that what it's called? AC50B. And I said at 6:30 that it's at 97%. Well, now it's at 93%. So it's only gone down 4% in the last hour. Now that's understandable because the sun's gone down, it's not nearly as hot. It's still about 81 degrees out here, but nowhere near the 86 that it was and sunny earlier today. If you were to say throughout the night that you're only going to use 4% an hour of your battery, that means that you could go, you could go 15 to 20 hours. So you would go the whole entire night, and then you would start building it back up using your solar panel again the next day. So in my mind, if you had a 100-watt panel, unless you had very, very cloudy skies or it was winter time, you wouldn't have an issue with keeping this cooler running practically indefinitely with just a small power station like the AC50B. So, and let's find out now how much water we're gonna get out of this cooler. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the volume of the water. It's my understanding that 1 gallon of water, it weighs 8 pounds. So we're gonna say each quart weighs 2 pounds, and we're just gonna measure it out basically 2 quarts at a time. So let's go ahead and start pouring this water out. This is a half-gallon pitcher, so it does equal 2 quarts, which would be 4 pounds. All right, there's 4 pounds of water right there. Yeah, I would say that's about it. So by my rudimentary measurements, we lost, what did I say, 4 pounds of water out of a 20-pound bag of ice. So that's about a fifth of the ice turned to water. So you could say that this was an 8-hour experiment, between 8 and 9 hours of opening it for a minute every hour. You could do that for probably, I would say probably another 20 hours, give or take. And that is pretty impressive. I thought that, I would lose at least half of the water, half of the weight of water. So only losing 4 pounds, that's pretty good. But the clear winner in my mind still is the 12-volt cooler. When you match it with a portable power station and a 100-watt solar panel, you don't have to worry about ice ever, and it will keep the temperature that you want with no problem whatsoever. So I hope you found some use out of this video. It was fun to do, and it actually taught me a little bit more about ice chests and 12-volt coolers. And I hope it did you too. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day. Bye-bye.